Welcome everyone to another episode of Footy Rivals. It's the second or third last one that we're going to be doing because we're going to...
It's prelim week, baby. I'm ready. I'm fired up. Let's get into it, man. The Final Four prelim week is a good week.
Neither of our teams are in it, but in saying that, there are actually some pretty good teams in the prelim this week. So
there are some pretty good ones. That just would explain why mine's not there. But
well, you know.
G'day Riley. G'day Nate Dogg. How you going, guys?
How are you both?
Yeah, man. It's been a big week. I feel like I haven't actually had enough time to devote to the footy, and then you went over the news list that we were just talking about that we'll run through topics and things like that, and I was like, oh, I actually didn't miss that much, but I still feel like it's been
there actually hasn't been
super busy.
No, I don't think there's actually been a lot of news this week. There's been some in fact, there hasn't really even been a lot of player movement news. There's just been news about the teams that are in the prelim. That's pretty much all that's been covered this week.
That's the general feel for prelim and grand final week. Those games are so big that they just dominate the news more. Like other things can happen for other teams in those weeks, and no one really cares.
Yeah,
everyone's just like, hey, let's get to the games, man. Like, I just want to care about the games. Like, the biggest news is news of, that we'll obviously talk about, suspensions and things like that affect the games directly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. But no.
Which obviously, leads us into really the first point that we want to be talking about.
What a segue.
which kind of completed itself only, about probably about an hour, 2 hours ago. Yeah.
I was we're obviously talking about Toby Greene.
Toby Greene's appeal.
I was keeping up with the live blog of the tribunal hearing as I was leaving work at 5. So 2 hours ago it came out.
It concluded exactly 2 hours after it began.
Yeah, long hearing.
Yeah. Well, the Toby Greene's QC, I suppose you'd call him, spent an hour deliberating on the defence.
He put a whole lot of effort into it, man. They want Toby Greene to play badly.
They did, and it only took 15 minutes for the board to decide, nope.
No, he's not playing. So no Toby Greene in the prelim.
No Toby Greene in the prelim, which is the right call, considering doing the exact same action.
Yeah.
After you were fined for the same action the week before. Like, why would you do it again? And it's not just like the weird thing with Toby Greene is he has a history of repeating offences that he gets away with.
He's just a really dumb dude. Like, he's really, really dumb. Don't get me wrong, he's a great footballer, but he's a really dumb guy, I feel like.
Not great.
But I was mixed on this because I want to see Toby Greene miss a week. I don't like Toby Greene very much. But I did think that the QC made a pretty good case. The whole, he's trying to say that you suspended him for contact to the eye. Lachie Neale came out and said he felt something to his nose. And no real evidence the QC argued there was no real evidence to suggest that anything had touched the eye region.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he had made a case where it's like, hey, if you didn't suspend him for the Bontempelli thing, how can you suspend him for this thing?
Yeah, see, the thing, if and this is the interesting thing, right? If the MRO had cited him with Bontempelli for the eye region thing, he was probably going to be suspended.
Yeah.
But it was for misconduct or something.
They just called it misconduct.
Yeah, to the degree. So that's what got him off because the wrong charge was laid on him.
Yeah.
And then a week later, the wrong charge is if he was suspended under the provision of misconduct, he would have been suspended under the provision of misconduct. But under the provision of eye contact, he shouldn't have been suspended under that ruling. So it's very interesting.
Like, don't get me wrong, happy to see Toby Greene go and quite happy to see the AFL make a call mid-finals, which they're
you can
lax
see
to do,
that
but I just don't think they got their actual call right.
Yeah, you can definitely see that the AFL wanted Toby Greene suspended regardless of whatever was going to come out.
Absolutely. And they said, I think they argued in their case when they had their 10 minutes at the podium tonight or whatever, that the tribunal had deemed it enough to be intentional contact Yet that's not exactly what GWS was arguing. They were saying, yeah, it was intentional contact, but it wasn't to the eye.
Yeah.
But the AFL coming out and saying, oh, well, it was intentional contact. Yeah, they wanted him gone from the get-go.
Yeah, 100%. Which I don't think is a great look.
No, I don't think it's good for the AFL. Like, I think it's good that they were able to suspend someone in the finals for once, but they didn't do it at the right time. It should have been done a week earlier.
Yeah, 100%.
And if he didn't play, who knows? Maybe GWS doesn't win that game by 3 points or whatever it was. Beat Brisbane and kick Brisbane out in straight sets.
Very possible.
I feel like it's going to have less of an effect on this game than it could have had on the game before.
Well,
although I still think it's going to have a profound effect on this game.
Yeah, no, 100%. No Toby Greene in GWS
is huge. It doesn't matter if it's a regular season game, a prelim, whatever. It's huge.
Speaking of suspended players, though, the other suspended player this week who happens to be playing, his team happens to be playing prelim and everything this week as well, Tom Hawkins.
Who will be missed even more than Toby Greene. If not just for structure alone.
Probably, yeah. I think Radaglia had a better game than Hawkins did last week.
Yeah,
but
without doubt.
Hawkins' structural integrity holds much more important than his replacement this week anyway in Henderson.
Yeah.
So that's
I
don't
know. Maybe they just play Henderson back, swing Taylor forward. I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, no, I'm glad to see that one got made too.
Justified?
I off the ball, took a swing, connected. Dumb. Another instance of just dumb, man. Your team's winning. They were in control for the bulk of the game. There was a patch where I thought the Eagles were just going to overrun them and do what the Eagles do. Of course they didn't. Your team's in control for the bulk of it. Don't go swinging a fist at... Getting suspended at a crucial time.
What was his forearm or something that connected with Schofield?
Something like, the inside
which put
of his
him down for a
forearm.
while. So I didn't actually see the game. I wanted to watch the game, right?
Probably happy you didn't in the end.
But the game was spoiled for me 10 minutes before I was to walk out.
Oh, you were kidding. Jesus.
So I had to walk home.
People suck, man.
And just settle with the highlights because now that I knew the outcome, I didn't want to watch the outcome sort of thing. So
Hawkins is just a full-on flog, says Riley. I disagree. I kind of like Tom Hawkins, although in
saying that, he has history of this kind of action.
Yeah. To be fair, he also has history of just beating Riley's team sometimes off his own.
Wow.
Not to say you're being biased, Riley, but no. He does have a history of this action.
He does.
So I can see why people would have that thought.
I don't think he's a thug. No,
not a thug.
But he just does some stupid stuff.
I think he's stupid and he likes to play physical and he likes to play tough and it can be dumb at times. And it was super dumb at a really bad time.
Yeah.
And just really like the high contact off the ball. It was bound to be a week, yet because it's finals, we were all waiting with bated breath to see how this was going to unfold.
Probably get off, that's right.
I thought he would get off. I thought the AFL would come up with some way to conjure it that he would get off. But no, it had to be a week, and now he's not going to be in to face the Tigers.
Which is making Geelong's cause much, much more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Because, okay, let's face it. Geelong were in control of the game for the first quarter and the last quarter.
Yeah.
The second and third, you could probably argue West Coast had a lot of control of
the guys I was watching it with. I said to them at 3/4 time that I thought West Coast was going to run over the top of them. And they just didn't fire a shot in the fourth, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. For you, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. They were in control in the second and third.
And for a team that can lapse that hard, it's not good for Geelong.
They cannot.
And what's most interesting is since the bye, they've had the pattern of win-loss, 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 win-loss. They've just banked on a win.
Yeah.
So they're guaranteed a loss.
They're gone.
They're
gone.
Done. Yeah, they're out. But in saying that, they didn't go out in straight sets.
No, they didn't.
Which is probably a win for them this year because they were very, very expected to go out in straight sets.
And I mean, like our season reviews, right? We start each one by going back to the preseason predictions and things like that. To be honest, preseason prediction, I didn't have Geelong. In my top four.
I didn't even have them in the top 8.
So for them to finish fourth, it's pretty good. They rolled a lot of kids through. They'll probably get better next year, maybe. Who knows?
Well,
I don't know. There's a case to be made for either way.
Tim Kelly's all but gone.
Yeah, that's true. That hurts.
Gaz is older. Joel is older.
Their stars.
Danger will still be good.
Yeah.
But, Selwood is starting to drop off. You can see that in games.
Yeah.
Mostly as well because he's had a positional shift. But even last year, his output was much more diminished in the normal role that he's sort of always played.
If you wanted to make an argument for how they could get better, it would be that, yes, their stars are sort of fading into the ends of their careers and Kelly's going. But they brought through a bunch of kids and sometimes that can be good for a team, but that's not enough. Like chemistry over talent, you'd take talent most of the time.
We'll have to wait and see what happens with them next year. Do I think Joel Selwood should go on next year? I think he should.
Yeah,
I think he deserves
absolutely.
it. His form warrants it. Like
he's been fine.
He's not a bad player. He's just not as good as what he was.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind him on the wing.
Which is fine. He doesn't need to be as good as what he was.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need to be prolific with Dangerfield and Kelly and that in that midfield.
Yeah.
Like
No,
maybe he'll need to step up a little more next year. Who knows? I don't know. But he should definitely go on.
Maybe a year on the wing may have helped freshen him up again.
Yeah, maybe.
Sort of thing.
Maybe.
So, who knows?
I totally agree with you that he should go on.
Probably the other kind of biggest news for the week occurred, I think, yesterday. Lachie Whitfield has been ruled out of the preliminary final.
Yeah.
He's had surgery to remove his appendix. He's on a race against time to get back for a grand final appearance if they make it through. I would think he's unlikely to get up next week if they're still playing next week as well, the Giants have lost Greene and Whitfield.
Huge, man. They can't catch a break.
That's their main drivers into the forward 50.
They must just be looking at this team that they're going to roll out against Collingwood and going, man, just give us Whitfield, Greene, Canelio. Like, just give us those three guys and we're a force, Like, they must just feel that they're so close and they just can't get the mix right. But this one's particularly sad, I thought.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks, man.
Yeah.
What terrible timing for your appendix to just decide that it's going to go.
Just an act of nature that is completely irrelevant to footy.
Football. Yeah.
And, if they do get through to a grand final and he misses it, like, it's not due to a footy injury or anything like that, which is the worst.
Yeah.
Which is the worst thing
it's
for
just
him,
like
so.
I was good one day and then the next day my appendix decided that it had to go. And it's like, man,
he just wanted to go nuclear.
Couldn't pick worse timing. And that one, what's bigger? Greene missing or Whitfield missing?
Greene.
I think so too because of the form he's been
Greene's
in.
impact, since Greene's been moved back into the midfield after many years up forward.
Yeah.
His impact on the Giants has been second to none in that entire team.
I think the fact that he's a better pure midfielder than what Lachie Whitfield would be is probably the reason why he'll be more sorely missed. But I also don't want to say that as if I'm underselling the importance of Whitfield being out of this
100%.
team. Because that is huge. He's such a big driver from them from the back line.
Yeah, that's right. Which is arguably, wow. You could make a case, although I think the forward 50 entry is a more important kick.
Yeah.
But getting it out of defensive 50 is
huge. Almost
as important as it is trying to get it into your 50 cleanly.
There's also an argument to be made that it's easier to find a replacement midfielder, or it's easier for Zach Williams and Tim Taranto to just pop up and have massive games, then it's easier to find someone that's going to sit at half back and give you the class that Lachie Whitfield gives you.
Yeah, well, I would suggest that Zach
yeah.
Williams goes into the back line.
Well, probably, but then it's like you're missing Toby Greene from those midfield minutes you've been giving him too. What do you do?
Yeah, but I think Williams is more dangerous coming out of the back line than he is coming into the forward line.
I think they would probably just run a mix of maybe he'll start at the back line and then work his way into the midfield for some minutes, go back to the back line, just run rotation.
Yeah.
Like
Kelly's going to have to be, he's going to have a really big game.
Yeah.
Kelly's
going to have to be insane.
If there's any chance.
Him and probably Jeremy Cameron are going to have to be insane. Like I feel like Cameron's going to have to dominate and that's going to be super hard. But yeah.
But we'll talk about GWS in more depth when we get to the teams and everything.
Yeah, when we get to the games.
Moving through, Chris Marston was delisted by West Coast earlier on in the week.
You take us through this one.
I think
your team.
I'm pretty sure that he knew at the end of the game. There were images of him like in near tears as he was walking off the ground. He knew.
I think he was aware.
Yeah, I think he knew. I think the rumor is that Schofield will also be delisted as well.
I'm more sad for that one.
Yeah, which would suck because, they've both been stalwarts of the club.
At least he got Tom Hawkins suspended.
So the
in his
interesting
last
thing
game.
for me is, I mean, Chris Marsden was a part of the Chris Judd deal, right? He was picked number 3 in the 2007-2008 draft. And he's been pretty well maligned for most of his career.
He's always been viewed as bad, but he's always been successful.
Yeah, he's played over 200 games. Like you can't be a bad
if you're
player.
bad.
Yeah,
he's a
that's
premiership player, played over 200 games, and people just look at him and go, "Oh, Chris Marsden, yuck." And
What's most interesting though is if you have a look at a lot of the picks that were taken after him, despite being a pick number 3, a lot of the picks that were picked after, like who would you have tried to pick after Chris Marsden? And there really wouldn't be a lot of players that you would. So he's actually
what draft
one of the,
was it again?
I think it was the 2007. Yeah, 2007 draft.
Yeah, I don't think it was an overly strong draft. Was it? No,
absolutely not.
I can't remember off the top of my head who went number 1. I don't know.
I want to say Cruiser, but I think Cruiser went before Nat Nui in 2008.
Yeah, I think that was the case.
I haven't actually looked into it.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into the drafts or anything like that.
Oh,
But
no,
yeah.
Cruiser. No, it could have been Cruiser because Jack Watts went before Natanui.
Ah, yeah, then it would have been.
Remember
Cochin
remember
at 07 was number 1.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay. It's fair pick, Brownlow medalist.
Moving along, Sam Murray
Has been dumped.
dumped by Collingwood. So this is really interesting to me. It doesn't make sense to me unless he's getting put back on the rookie list, which apparently no promises have been made. Why would you delist a player who has got a provisional suspension over his head, which you know as a club that Asada will take a year to get to the actual hearing, right?
Yeah.
You delist him, put him on the rookie list, and then once he's given the all clear to play for next year, in fact, he's allowed to train with an AFL club as soon as December 17.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to start playing until February 17. So he can actually put in a full preseason almost with
and play
any one particular club. So why would you put a player on your rookie list with the intention of retaining him and everything, and then just get rid of him? It doesn't make sense because I don't think he was a bad player.
No,
either.
he was a good player. He's going to get picked up by someone, I think.
I would hope so, yeah.
I think he's going to get picked up because that season, just before his incident and suspension, he was like a breakout guy for Collingwood.
Yeah, he played 13 games.
He was someone that while they've been on this run, everyone's been like, man, if that guy was still in the team, it adds some serious depth to that back line. Like,
in saying he's not a great user of the ball
he never
per
was.
se,
Like,
but
and I
his
think that's why-
competitiveness was second to none in that back line.
I think that's why Sydney, I want to say, moved him on originally because they didn't see much from him. But he was a second round pick or something like that, I think. Second round draft pick. So I liked him in that year where he broke out. And I tend to think of all the people on the I don't know how to particularly categorize it, but say you've got this market of just guys you're going to get on the dirt cheap. Like guys you're going to get for nothing. Like delisted guys like Fremantle's Ryan Nyhouse or something like that. I'd rather Sam Murray. Like, I feel like he's the absolute peak of the group that you can just get for peanuts.
So far that have been delisted.
So far. There might be another few more pop up. Who knows? But there's usually not that much depth in that range. Usually a club delists someone, they're just no good.
I think Marston will probably go to another club. If Schofield goes from West Coast, he'll probably go to another club as well. I think.
Just some depth. Maybe like a St Kilda picks up a Schofield or something like that.
Possibly.
Yeah, it seems like a fit.
I know that West Coast also delisted Fraser McInnes today.
Yeah.
Although I think they're trying to get him into the Waffle team.
Yeah. That would be interesting. He doesn't strike me as he's clearly not the talent of the other guys who've been delisted, but he's a ruckman, so maybe someone needs one.
Oh, he's a ruckman.
Maybe Essendon needs a ruckman. I'd probably take Fraser McGinnis before I took Paddy Ryder back.
It's an interesting delistment by Collingwood. It reminds me actually of Hugh Goddard last year by the Saints.
Yeah.
Or Freeman from the Saints as well.
Yeah.
Who had him on their list for 3 years, finally get him back
healthy,
to playing a couple of games. And he wasn't bad in those games.
No, he was okay.
And then that just made no sense.
Bring back
to
the
me
Freezer, man. I like that guy. He was good. I was a fan. I don't understand why they delisted him.
No.
John Worsfold.
John Worsfold
And Ben Rutten are in a succession plan now. So Worsfold's going to be around for one more year.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think of that? Like, is it good that they're sort of easing Rutten into it, knowing that he's going to get the job? Or is it bad that they're keeping Worsfold around for another year when they could move on quicker?
No, so the way that I see this is that John Worsfold's been in the business long enough. He can cop any criticism thrown at him.
Yeah.
Right? And he has throughout the many years at West Coast and at the Bombers. He's worn the criticism on the chin. He's got the lethal smile. Nothing phases the bloke that the media throws at him. It is what it is. He knows where he stands. He knows what he can do, sort of thing. I think the rumors flying around are the fact that his family is here in Perth. So it's made it very difficult for him personally to be able to continue. So I think he's gone into the last year of his contract knowing that it would be his last. I think the club actually said to him he won't be contracted further than 2021. But in saying that, instead of like just throwing you under the bus for next year to the media and everything, what Essendon have done has effectively, no matter how well or how poorly Essendon are going, there is absolutely no pressure on Ben Rutten, who can actually probably take over the proceedings on match day without the media necessarily knowing, and having Worsfold there as a background, reassurance as to whatever Rutten's decisions are and stuff.
Yeah.
But Worsfold takes on the pressures of the media scrutiny of being a head coach. So
he's almost a decoy in that sense.
Rutten gets to be head coach just without all of the outside pressures, just until he sort of wraps his head around it and everything. I think it's absolutely a brilliant move. I think more clubs should do it, actually.
I tend to agree. To circle back to you saying that Worsfold can wear the criticism, I don't understand why he gets criticism, which sounds stupid because I just filmed a review before this season review for Essendon.
Yeah, not a positive one.
I was kind of harsh on the Bombers.
Not a positive one.
I sort of slammed them, referred to them as a busted up car. But anyways, Worsfold himself, I got no criticism for him. He took over that club at an awful time.
Yeah.
He's led them to a finals berth.
Rebuilt their culture.
He's given them something. And my understanding was that he kind of just, the footy world was giving him a clean slate when he first took the job. Yet the last few years, people don't seem to think it's a clean slate. I still think it is. What they went through was awful, and he's given them something.
And it's really interesting because even throughout 2016, where he had a subpar list, he didn't even have an AFL standard list.
No, he just had
by the end of the year, he was
AFL.
copying criticism when he really shouldn't have. He didn't have a list.
The guy just took over and he was like, whatever.
He came into the club without confirmation that the players would be suspended for a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he had no idea.
So I wouldn't say he had no idea. There would have been an inkling, but it wasn't confirmed.
Yeah.
Right? And then effectively he's had 17, 18, and this year. So he's had 3 years to rebuild a club culturally
from scratch.
It's not even from scratch. It's from a negative space.
It's from a hole.
With the amount of crap that this club has been dragged through.
I'm so happy that's behind us in AFL history, but to revisit it and to remember just how bad it was for that club. Oh boy, that was, and for him to go in, it should have been viewed as the easiest coaching job in AFL history because hey, it can't get any worse.
Well, you're not wrong.
We're giving you a team of VFL players and we expect nothing from you. Go out and just do something. He did something. Yeah. I've got nothing but respect for the way he's carried himself in this process. So if he wants to go another year, he gets it.
Some pressure on him this year.
Oh, this year,
Don't get me wrong. I think it's been a bit much. When you compare it to other coaches that have been in the league for a few more years and have been underperforming, even though their teams might be right at the top of the ladder or something, they're still underperforming.
I do understand where Riley's coming from in that comment saying he should have gone this year. I think fresh start. My worry is that the game plan doesn't actually progress too much and Essendon doesn't progress in the direction they want to.
No,
game plan wise.
I think now that they've announced Rutten right? So if I was Worsfold and if I was Essendon, I would internally completely hand the reins off to Rutten. And as you said before, Worsfold is just a scapegoat.
He's
a decoy sort of thing. So do you believe that you should sack a coach even if they make a final?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on board as long as what they've done.
It depends on the context, though. I would be on board if Chris Scott was to be sacked because the club has consistently lost finals despite consistently making finals. I would be on board in sacking...
I wouldn't sack either Luke Beveridge or Worsfold, but
they should be under pressure.
If they came in different situations, say they just weren't in their situations where Beveridge is safe because he's won a flag before, Worsfold's kind of safe because Essendon, for the reasons we've just mentioned, he's had a good run. If they came from situations where they were expected to be better, yet still made it to the finals and lost, sack them. If you're touted as a top 2 team that makes 7th spot and gets smashed in an elimination final, sack them.
If the coach is not deemed to be the right coach for the club, regardless of whatever the result was, if the coach is not working within the confines of the club, regardless of results, then the coach has got to go. The coach has got to be on board with the admin, with the players, with the fans, with the media. If a coach doesn't link with all of those areas, then the coach has got to go.
Yeah.
Because the coach is the face of your club. It's not the players. It's not the captain. It's not your coach. Your senior coach
the leader,
is the face of your AFL club.
He's the orchestrator. He's the leader. He's everything that
he is deemed responsible for everything that runs through the club.
Which is unfair, but it's the way it is.
But exactly it is.
It's a good, like Joel just said, if Pike made finals, he'd still like to see him sacked. I kind of tend to agree. Like, if they had made finals, because they were touted to be preseason expectations had them as a much better side than what they were.
I'm not unhappy that Pike left this year, although I wouldn't have been unhappy if he was still there next year.
Yeah.
I think it's the right move. However, much the same as like Buckley and Hardwick, I wouldn't have minded if he had another year to sort his shit out as well.
See how he could go.
I can see cases for both things.
There were coaches that were far closer to the end of their tenure. Like, you couldn't give Ross Lyon another year to see if he could get it together because he wasn't getting it together, I don't think. Pike, you're more like, okay, he's a little less into it.
I'm still of the opposite opinion online. I think he still should have been given a year.
Maybe, but I think that's just...
However, in saying that, I'm not unhappy that it's the same sort of situation for me.
I tend to think Fremantle could have done all right under him last year, but it probably wouldn't have been because of him. It would have just been because they were healthy. They could have done all right under him this year if they were healthy.
It's very interesting. Should Goodwin be sacked if Melbourne do the same in 2020 as they did this year? If they do the same as they did this year, then yes.
Yeah. He should be.
But if their game plan is fixed up and they're performing better, then we'll have to see how the year pans out.
Yeah. See, this is the
But if they're second last, or if they're in the bottom 4 next year, 100% needs to go.
The thing that doesn't work for
the only
Goodwin
problem is that Melbourne can't sack him because of the contract extension last year.
Yeah.
So Melbourne have kicked themselves. Melbourne have kicked themselves in the teeth with that deal.
The bad thing for Goodwin, I mean, the good thing is he's locked up. The bad thing is that he made a prelim final, so everyone knows it's not a talent thing. Everyone knows you've got the talent.
Yeah,
like everyone knows on the list, the players running out on game day are talented enough to win games of footy, and they're not winning games. So that now falls on the coach. That's the bad thing for him.
We'll move along.
Yeah.
Sydney has decided and come out and said that they will not offer pick 4 or pick 5, depending on priority pick, for Joe Danaher.
I would certainly hope not.
Now, before we actually get into the discussion of Joe Danaher, I've got a little bit of a statistic for you with regards to Sydney.
Oh, mystery statistics. This is good. I was anticipating one about GWS later. I'm looking forward to...
I've got another one here for you.
Excellent.
So, Sydney, over the last 2 decades, okay, and not associating a top 10 pick with an academy player, how many players do you think Sydney have drafted in the top 10?
I would say one, if any. Like, I can't think of many at all because most of they've been academy players, right? So because I know Hanbury was
over
late.
the last 5 to 10 years, they've been academy players.
Yeah, I know Hanbury was a late one, so it's not like him. I'm trying to think of who would have been.
Who was the last? So they've been 2.
Are they still on the list now?
No. Okay. Neither of them are now.
But are they still playing AFL footy now?
One is.
Okay. So someone's moved on from Sydney. It's not Tom Mitchell because he was like father-son or academy or something.
He's father-son.
And I don't even know if he went top 10. Oh, boy. So they've moved on. I have no idea, man. I have no idea.
So their last number 1 pick that was not associated as an academy pick, Gary Rowan.
Oh, was he in the top 10?
2009.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think it was pick 9.
Yeah.
The one before him in 2002, just retired this year, Jared McVeigh.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I see. McVeigh crossed my mind, but I just thought maybe he was a later pick that they turned into a good player again.
They're the only 2 players that Sydney have recruited within the top 10 that has not been associated with an academy player.
Yeah, right.
So
Crazy.
I mind you, in saying that, Sydney will still probably use pick 4 towards an academy player. Because pretty much all of
they have one that they're
all of their academy players that they've drafted, specifically since probably about 2015, all of them will have gone in the top 10 anyway.
All of them have been good too, like, Callum Mills and now Blakey,
Isaac
who's
Heaney.
in there. Isaac Heaney, yeah, they're all good
pick
players.
of the bunch.
Kind of sucks, that. Like, I remember when they got Callum Mills and they had finished like, I think they were supposed to have pick 17, and then it's like, okay, well, here's pick 3. I get it.
I am heavily for academies. However, in saying that, I do think that every club should have an academy.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't just be restricted to the northern states.
Yeah. Although, obviously WA teams both have academies now. Like,
yeah, but they don't get priority access to the teams that they train.
No.
And that's what I mean. I am all for the idea of academies as long as each team has an academy and has a priority to their own academies.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for academies this year because Fremantle's going to land that Liam Henry kid out of it, and he looks good. So I'm all for him this year. But yeah, no, they definitely should not be offering pick 4 for Joe Danaher. No, like talent-wise, look.
Okay, so what's Joe Danaher worth?
See, I don't know, because you're taking a punt on a guy who might never play. Like, he might never get his body right.
Well, okay, so in saying that, Sydney are going to do their medical, their medical basis stuff on Joe Danaher, right? And based on, I think he'll play next year.
I hope he does. I love when he does.
I 100% think that he'll get back to AFL. I've got no issues with that, and I think he'll get back to a consistent level as well. Maybe not with Essendon, because Essendon's medical team sucks, but with Sydney's got a good medical team.
Yeah, they never have a huge history of injuries, do they? So he's generally healthy. If
a healthy Joe Danaher, what's he worth?
I think it's more about what can Sydney convince Essendon that he's worth, and that they're taking.
But what do you
think
he's worth?
I'd say a healthy. Do you mean fully fit, fully firing, fully healthy? I think he's probably worth a late first rounder. But that's if he had not missed games of injury and things like that. I think.
So so if he hadn't missed games over the last 2 years,
and he had been
a late first rounder.
Oh well, actually no, he was an All-Australian forward when he was healthy.
I'm not sure I agree with you there.
All-Australian forward, but with the current state of it, I wouldn't give up any first rounder at the moment. I would totally just try and bargain Essendon into taking him for peanuts, because hey, I'd just play the whole card of, we don't know what we're getting, we're taking a risk, we're giving you a pick here, and I'd give him a second rounder or something like that.
Yeah, but Essendon's he's contracted still, so they don't have to take that.
Yeah, that's true. And if they get him right, then great for them.
I think a late first round is probably about where he sits, even with his injury woes at the moment, because the upside of Joe Danaher,
is huge.
is massive for a Sydney team without any young key forwards outside of Blakey.
Yeah.
But he's obviously very raw still.
I do hold more faith in Sydney's front office than Essendon's to get a good deal done, though.
Yeah.
I feel like Sydney will be able to bargain this down somehow and say, hey, look, we don't know what we're getting. The guy's injured. Like, you know, we might never see him on the park. Like, this might turn into some disaster. Here's a second rounder. Like, I don't know.
Possibly. Sydney are probably the best in the business at getting trades done.
Oh, yeah, they're
to
good.
their favour.
They're good, man. When they want to get something done, it happens for Sydney.
Moving along, we gotta sort of speed things up a little bit here. Sean Higgins stays with North Melbourne until the end of 2021. We were talking about this, I think, last week. It's a good move by North.
It's a good move by North. Just shore him up. They don't have a quantity of midfielders to pick from. So when you've got
not quality mids anyway. No, not quality.
Like they've got
good
some
ball users,
and they've got some okay kids coming through. But again, quantity becomes their problem. Like more than the kids they got coming through are okay. I said this in their end of year review. They're okay, but there's not many of them. So if you've got a good mid, hang on to him.
Yeah.
I don't have much else on that. Like you pointed out last week, he's actually getting on in age a bit. So
yeah, he's 31 this year or next year.
Yeah,
I think.
So I mean, you're not going to get great deal
but he's been signed
out of him.
for 2
whatever.
years, so it's a good deal for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Yeah.
I will come to that stat when we get to the game.
I'm not even reading it because I want to be surprised
when
by
we get to the game. So what we'll do, I think we'll skip that.
Yeah.
And we'll go straight into the games.
Yeah. Which leads us to Richmond versus Geelong at the MCG Friday night. Huge preliminary final clash.
Very.
Richmond have no changes. Things are looking ominous for the competition, man.
Confidence.
Things are looking
However,
ominous.
they've had the week off, so they're fresh.
Yeah. Geelong obviously loses Hawkins through suspension, brings in Henderson. Sydney Stack's not even an emergency for Richmond. Is he injured? No.
I don't know.
He's not even an emergency. I'm pretty sure he's just dropped and he's not an emergency.
Yeah, but why would you break a winning formula?
No, you wouldn't. That's what I mean. It's ominous. Like, how good are they? If they've got a kid that's as good as Sydney Stack, not even emergency. They're going to go with like Cho and Pickett and I think someone else like Dan Butler's an emergency or something, I think. I don't know. Like, they are insanely
To be fair, I think
what
Stack's been playing out of the back line for most of the year.
Yeah.
You wouldn't change that back line, would you?
I totally agree with not playing him. I totally agree. I just think it sends an even bigger message to the competition where they're like, hey, if someone gets injured, we're calling on guys that are even better than this kid because he's not even in our emergencies.
What's most interesting about that decision is that if any of the players from the prelim pull up particularly sore or anything, look at the host of players they have in reserve.
Exactly.
And you compare that to the start of their year where they had no players available to them.
Yeah.
It's a complete
And still
turnaround.
we're ticking off enough wins to be getting the job done. Hayek has Richmond by 10 goals.
This is a dangerous game for Geelong because as we said, like last week against West Coast, they really only had control of the game for 2 quarters.
The bookends. They had control at the start and the finish, and that's it.
And they despite being 32 points up, they lost the lead, actually.
Yeah, they did. They had to come from behind.
And I think it took them a good 10 minutes until they could wrestle the lead back in the last term.
Yeah.
So even then, I wouldn't even say that Geelong had complete control over the fourth term.
West Coast was still a chance up until like 5 minutes to go. Or
so
something
it's
like that.
it's a bit of an ominous sign for Geelong considering they're now without Hawkins.
So they probably
untried Henderson.
Did they put Henderson forward or did they put him back and put Harry Taylor forward?
I don't know. I think they'll probably swing them both, depending on how
the
Geelong
success
is going.
of one or the other.
I think Henderson will start in the forward line and Taylor in the back line.
Can they afford to play Patrick Dangerfield deep forward for the majority of the game?
Majority of the game, no.
But in phases, they will.
Yeah,
they always do.
It depends on the team balance, I think. If Geelong are up and about, then they probably won't change too much. But if they're struggling, they will. And this is the good thing about Geelong team. They have options to move players around to change the structures up. And stuff.
They're quite versatile. They're comfortable playing a lot of positions. Like, I mean, Geelong are a good team, man. They're in a preliminary final. You don't get there without being a good team. But I'm with high X. Richmond by about 10 goals. I don't. Without Hawkins, how do you compete? This backline is going to have a field day now that they don't have to worry about Tom Hawkins.
I have an ominous feeling about Richmond in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Although
what's interesting with Richmond, I'm just remembering stupid facts. Richmond have won their last 10 games in a row. They're on the cusp of breaking some of their own records, in which the records that are standing for them at the moment were years that they won premierships in.
Okay.
So 1980, they won 11 games in a row. They went on to win the premiership. I think
they would now need to win 12. Yeah.
Which
would be the record.
They will do
would be the
with the grand final. That's right. And I think the one before that was something like 1933, I think off the top of my head. Okay. So, I mean, this string of wins at the moment that they've got equals their 2013 run of 10 in a row in the back end of the year, I think. So, if Richmond end up winning the grand final, it's a record-breaking year for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just have a feeling they will get there.
I look at all other remaining teams.
The only team that can compete would be Collingwood.
And even then, I think
Collingwood is struggling.
Yeah, they're just limping.
They're struggling
to
go. Yeah.
Like, Collingwood could win their game, whatever, but I just feel like you come into against Richmond, I don't know. Hawkins not being there, like, Hawkins was the one factor where I was like, actually, that makes Richmond's backline accountable. That makes them have to worry about something.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about anything anymore.
I worry about Radaglia because Radaglia...
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, right.
And I don't worry, and I don't mean I worry for Radaglia for Richmond's sake. I worry about Radaglia for Geelong's sake because Radaglia has struggled enormously against good defences this year, of which Richmond is probably the best defence in the comp.
And now he gets their best defender probably. Like, he gets
he would get their best defender over Henderson, 100%.
Yeah.
Who would you rather put the best defender on?
Exactly.
Radaglia
now that Hawkins is gone, all of that spotlight falls on Radaglia.
And and I don't think he will cope with it. So like Grimes, it'd probably be Grimes that goes to him. Grimes will take his run. He will not let Radaglia run at the ball.
Yeah.
He will block that off.
Yeah. He's
every
too smart.
day of the week. Like, and then Radaglia is not a good standing packmate. He just comes and crashes packs and flies over packs. But in the middle and in one-on-one wrestling, he won't beat Grimes out.
I mean, look, Geelong, like you said before, they controlled only 2 quarters. They had a 2-quarter lapse against West Coast. I mean, we'll give them 1.5 and be generous and say there was 1.5 quarters. They cannot have half a quarter lapse. No. They need
because Richmond will bang on like 4 or 5 goals in a row
quickly. Someone like Dan Rioli or someone like Shai Bolton or someone like that will get up and about like Jack Riewoldt. Will pile on like 3 goals in a quarter or something like that will happen, and they will get punished and they will not be able to come back. It will happen in like 10 minutes.
I'm very interested to see how Tom Lynch plays.
So am I.
Actually, because Geelong's defence is really the best in the competition over the course of the whole year.
It keeps them in games. It's huge for them. I'm keen to see that.
I'm very interested to see how Lynch goes in a high-intensity, pressured environment against an elite defence. And
I think the luxury for Tom Lynch is that he doesn't have to be great. I mean, I just rattled 3 names off the top of my head without even thinking of Tom Lynch of who could kick goals for Richmond. So... Man, that's crazy. I didn't even think of Tom Lynch. Who cares? Someone's going to kick him.
He is their best performing forward for the year. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like 100%. But there are so many...
that I think Riewoldt's much more important in the context of a final because Riewoldt is your guy to crash packs.
I totally agree with you. Like, I think Riewoldt might be the one that could have a huge say on this game. Like, sometimes Riewoldt just pops up for just ridiculously big games.
He loves these games. He loves them.
Yeah, he's all about it. So, I'm with high X. Richmond by about 10 goals.
Richmond for me, not 10 goals though.
I'm gonna pen them in by I don't like to tip big margins.
I think it'll be about a 30-point margin.
I'll give them 6 goals. 6 goals, close at about 3 goals or something like that, maybe at three-quarter time. Low scoring at there. Geelong's got a good defense. They kind of have a sniff, and Richmond piles some late ones.
No, I tell you what, if Geelong are close coming into the last quarter, I think Geelong is probably one of the best performing fourth quarter teams in the competition.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't know that stat.
That is ominous.
I agree with your reasoning, disagree with the point. I just think Richmond are not the team that would be like, okay, this club's close, let's pack it in or something. I feel like they'd be the team that's going to be like, this club's close, let's buckle down and get this game done. So the win might not be by 6 goals, but I think they come away with it.
But I think the margin at three-quarter time will be roughly the margin at full quarter time.
Yeah.
If the Cats are behind at three-quarter time, they will not be in front by full time.
Think about the Richmond names that we haven't even mentioned in this small segment. Like, we haven't even talked about Dustin Martin.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about Dustin Martin. We haven't talked about Cochin. And then the fringe guys, we haven't talked about, who does talk about them? But like Kane Lambert is a really good player. Some of those guys, man, it's just Shane Edwards.
Yep.
Oh man, they're a good team.
They are, and they'll probably go well if they win this grand final. They'll go down as one of the modern greats. And I actually want to do
2 in 3 years. You made a prelim in the in between.
I actually want to do. I was thinking about this today. Actually, I want to do a video series, like a 3-part series of Richmond in the VFL, Richmond at the start of the AFL era, and then in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
they are one of the more interesting clubs in terms of that sense. Yeah. Like, they're very
interesting. Powerhouse of the AFL that hasn't been seen as a powerhouse of the AFL for a very long time.
Definitely not on the field. Like, and now all of a sudden
all
of a sudden they're making no changes and we're not talking about Dusty Martin.
No, well, that's right, yeah.
Wow.
But Richmond for both of us.
Yeah, Richmond for me. Yeah. Do you want to take us through game 2?
Collingwood versus Greater Western Sydney at the MCG on Saturday. It's a twilight game so that if GWS does win, they're back in Sydney that night.
Yeah.
For Collingwood, interesting change.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Ben Reid comes back in to go into the forward line, and Aish comes in as well. Out goes Greenwood through injury and DeGoey through his hamstring. Interestingly, what's his name? The defender.
Darcy Moore.
Darcy Moore is not out with the hamstring.
No, still in.
So 2 big outs for Collingwood. And I don't think the ins offset the outs.
No, they don't.
I don't know why Reid's back, but he is. For GWS, in comes Hill and Keefe, and out goes, obviously, Whitfield and Green. Now, I want to run a stat by you, or a couple of stats by you.
Good. Okay? I like this. Bring it on.
GWS, we were talking about this beforehand. What do you think the crowd numbers will be for GWS and Collingwood? It's a Collingwood home game.
Yeah,
I probably expecting 80 to 90,000.
I think maybe high 80s, just because, it's a Collingwood home game prelim. You'd like to just pen in 90 plus, but because it's GWS, I'll give them high 80s. Like, I'll give them 88, 87,000.
Last year in GWS's home game in the semi-final. No, that doesn't make sense. It would have been Collingwood's home game against GWS in a semi-final, not a prelim.
Yeah.
72,500. So you'd expect a few more. For
prelim,
right?
Yeah.
Now, GWS, over the course of their entire history, have played in front of 50,000 or more on only 6 occasions.
Right.
How many of those games do you think they've won?
0.
1.
1, okay.
Which was against Sydney in the finals at ANZ. The 2016 semi-finals.
I mean, they've won some finals. I should have thought more about that. They've won some finals recently.
They have also lost their only 2 finals at the MCG, which has been in successive years, both in 17 and 18.
Yeah.
Their biggest crowd was against Richmond in 17, 94,000 or something like that. So they don't perform well. I mean, we're talking, these are numbers of crowds 50,000 and up, and 50,000 is a big crowd, right?
Yeah.
But
we're talking about...
You're talking about 80, 90,000 here,
Yeah.
which just completely far exceeds that.
Yeah, well, I was
GWS
saying off the air that to a player would just feel like... I said double, it probably feels like triple or something like that.
100%. Yeah, especially the noise, because GWS is not going to have supporters backing them up.
Nah, not at
this
all.
This is
They're
going
gonna
to be
swamped.
a predominantly Collingwood-based fan base.
100%. You'll struggle to spot an orange, like any flash of orange in this crowd.
GWS don't have the exposure, the experience, and they don't have. They just don't play well in front of big crowds. To be honest.
No, not at all. I mean, we've talked about this before, and they just don't. They just don't perform well.
They don't pull up well.
To talk about Collingwood, I do kind of like the inclusion of Ben Reid if that comes as a case of like watching that Brisbane GWS game last week. Brisbane hammered them for like 15 straight minutes in the final quarter.
They couldn't score though, could they?
And just exactly like Phil Davis chopped everything off. It was always like Phil Davis or the other blonde Haynes, is it? Nick Haynes chopped a bit off.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they're bringing in Reid as a simple, hey, make this guy accountable and bring it to ground, give Stevenson a bit of a chance sort of thing, I don't hate it. I like
I don't think Reid's that kind of player,
Who else
though.
was going to come in? Like, who else was a candidate to come in?
Well, is Cox still injured?
Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, he would have come in before.
I would have thought. I don't know.
Maybe not. They were playing Reid ahead of Cox mid-season, were they? Or was that just because Cox was injured again?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see Moore play in the forward line.
I mean, he's done it before in his career.
Well, he was drafted as a forward.
Yeah. Like, unsuccessfully, but also he was really young at that point. So that you can't really judge him on that too much.
No.
And they moved him back and found out he was a backman and he was good. Maybe it's something they can do. Ben Reid played back before in his career.
I
Maybe
reckon
mid-game they can make a switch.
I reckon if they swing him mid-game, it could be, it could be a proving factor that could change the outcome of a grand final. Right? Imagine if, because did Moore play last year? I don't think he did. No, I think he was out injured.
I can't remember.
I think he was out injured. But if he was, right, and the exact same thing happened last year, right? Imagine if Moore was swung forward, especially when Collingwood were pushing forward. I just think he makes that kind of difference.
Yeah,
because he is that kind of classy, mongrelly kind of player. He loves the contest.
I don't mind the idea that if Jeremy Cameron is somehow dominating Darcy Moore, and somehow, well, I mean, that would come from a product of the midfield. So let's say GWS's midfield is on top.
Yeah.
Which they probably won't be, but let's say they are.
Probably won't be, but yep.
Let's say they are. Jeremy Cameron starts firing. He's kicked like 3-4 goals in the first half. And at halftime, Collingwood decides to make the switch and go, hey, Ben Reid, you're going back. Darcy Moore, you're going forward. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I like that. Bit of inventiveness mid-game. Like, that's not too bad. Having said that, I don't know how GWS's midfield is supposed to get on top. Like, they've still got some quality. Taranto and Kelly are great players. Williams can run through there. He's okay. But
unless Collingwood are wanting Reid to come in and play the grand final if they make the grand final, I just don't know why you'd pick Reid, who will most likely go down with an injury in this game.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was woefully out of form.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a good forward.
No, he's not.
He's a good swinging forward.
I like when he leads up past the forward 50-metre line. But that's not too bad. I don't like him when he's parked in.
He was only ever good as a forward in the second half of a game to make some structural changes for Collingwood because he'd been playing defence all game, right?
Yeah.
As a starting forward, it's the exact same as Cale Hooker for Essendon.
Yeah.
It's the exact same with when Jake Carlisle was used as an experiment with Essendon. These guys are not natural forwards.
Yeah.
You can't play them out of the forward line from the start of the game.
Michael Hurley was one of them.
Yeah, you throw them into the forward line.
Yeah.
Just to disrupt the defence.
I agree. Who do you think Matt DeBoer's going to tag? There's a plethora of options they can choose from.
I would tag either Pendlebury or Sidebottom. I let Treloar run. I don't care. His disposal is absolutely shit.
I wouldn't tag Treloar.
Pendlebury has actually been
I'd tag
very,
Pendles.
very good. Yeah, it's either Pendlebury or a side bottom.
I would tag
because they're
Pendles.
both the play creators.
Clearly, if you don't tag side bottom, I'm not. This is no disrespect to still side bottom. I totally think that he's fine. He's going to do damage. No disrespect, but I think you just tag Pendlebury with the form he's been in.
Yeah.
It's so hard when Pendlebury gets up and about, man. They're a whole nother level when he's up and about.
100%.
But I think Brody Grundy is going to dominate this game. So,
well, actually, what's interesting, that's Mumford came out, I think, today and said that he'd spoken to the umpires department or something with regards to just helping him out with trying to not concede so many free kicks. Here's another random stat for you. So Shane Mumford has conceded on average 4 free kicks against per game this year. It is the highest average since I think 2013 when I think it was a different GWS player was averaging 3 against.
Right.
So he is a free kick against machine.
Yeah.
He was getting completely towelled up in the ruck against Steph Martin. And so
He got killed.
Yeah, it's going to be the same thing.
Steph Martin killed him. I was just going to say, Steph Martin killed the guy. And no disrespect to Steph Martin. He's a very good ruckman, but Brody Grundy's a much better ruckman.
Yeah.
And Brody Grundy is going to run rings around Shane Mumford. Like, he's going to kill him. So GWS need to stop the Collingwood midfield because the ruckman's going to dominate and he's going to give them first use. Yeah. So you got to find a way to stop him.
I think the GWS midfield is classy enough. You've got Kelly, you've got Taranto, you'll have Keith running through there as well.
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
Or perhaps coming out of the back line.
Yeah.
GWS
Williams will have a crack through
GWS's midfield is no slouch in that area though as well.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Collingwood in this game.
Yeah, Collingwood for me for a Richmond Collingwood grand final. And that is just.
I said it.
You'll have never seen a bigger grand final than that.
I think it was mid-year on the Footy Rivals episode that I said that's what I want, but I was kind of like Collingwood just aren't anywhere near the form to get it. They're really injured. Didn't think it would happen. Now it's a real possibility, and it's like, bring it on, man. I would love to go. You know what? I'd love to be in Melbourne. Not even care about the game. I'd go if I had the chance, but I wouldn't even care about going to the game. Whichever suburb wins, I want to be in that suburb after the game to just watch it burn down.
Can you see? I mean, okay, so shit. There go all of my screens. Can you see a world where Geelong make the grand final? It's more likely to me that they would than GWS win at the MCG against Collingwood. I think that GWS are a chance. I think they're
now that I've said that, I almost regret saying it.
I think they're a bigger chance than Geelong are beating Richmond.
I think it's extremely short odds that Richmond and Collingwood make it. That's what I'll say. I don't actually it's a prelim final. Anything can happen. I get that. Well,
we saw that last year. Collingwood beat Richmond.
Yeah, exactly. And Richmond were touted to belt them. So I don't know about belt, but they were touted to win.
But they actually got flogged
and they got destroyed
by Collingwood. Yeah.
So there's nothing saying Geelong can't come out and do something like that. But I can't It just strikes me as a Richmond Collingwood year. I mean, and that's easy to say. It's very short odds to be a Richmond Collingwood.
What happens if Greater Western Sydney make a grand final against Richmond? How does next week play out when potentially Whitfield comes back and Green comes back?
On field, it'd be awesome.
What happens then?
On field, it'd be a great matchup because Mumford also wouldn't have so much trouble in the ruck.
Well, you're not wrong. Yeah.
On field, it'd actually be quite a really interesting matchup. In the stands, however, it's just going to be a sea of yellow and black.
100%.
It'd be crazy for GWS to come out after that.
However, in saying that, I do think that a lot of neutral supporters
go to the grand
would
final,
probably be backing GWS over Richmond.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't know, but from here I'm Richmond.
It is an interesting final series.
Yeah, it is. It really
is more than likely going to be Richmond Collingwood.
Yeah,
but
and having the games we had,
these are prelims. You just don't know.
It's been a pretty good final series. I mean, GWS Brisbane was a good game. That's an epic. So I'm trying to think of the other results now. Have we had any other close ones? Like maybe not in the first week.
And Collingwood was 10 points, but I'm pretty sure Collingwood dominated pretty much the entire night.
Yeah, and then Richmond beat
flogged whoever they
GWS.
Played. No.
Brisbane.
Yeah,
they beat Brisbane
up in Brisbane.
Yeah. So it hasn't been great, but whatever. We had the one really good game, which is kind of the way it goes lately.
Generally speaking.
You get one good game.
Generally speaking. Well, last year we had two. I don't think there was anything good outside of both of the West Coast Collingwood games.
Yeah. I wouldn't think so. But yeah, no, I Richmond win and Collingwood win for me. I think it's quite simple. They get through and Melbourne burns down in 3 days and we can't hold the grand final. And we have it at Optus Stadium.
Well, that's a good one. If Richmond and Collingwood make the grand final, who are you going for? I personally think Richmond would win.
Yeah, I totally
but I would be barracking
them.
for, and it's really strange to say this, but gee, Nathan Buckley has turned around the outside perception of Collingwood in the last couple of years.
I really enjoy both teams. Like when I picked Richmond to win mid-year this year, when I jumped off Freo after they had some bad weeks, and I was like, nope, they're cooked. I need to find another team to back. And I got on Richmond. I didn't do it because of their form or anything, just warranted that they'd be there. I just really like Richmond. But having said that, Collingwood's, the way they play their footy is extremely attractive to watch. Like,
if Collingwood get there and lose another grand final,
that will be that would be a massive kick in the guts.
They've lost more grand finals than they've won.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they lost the two against Brisbane earlier, like back to back earlier in this century.
They lost to. Did they make Geelong? Yeah,
they lost to Geelong in 2011.
Yeah,
they beat St Kilda the year before, but they lost to Geelong in 2011.
Yeah, they lose a lot. They lose a lot of grand finals.
Yeah, so to lose two in a row here would be a kick in the guts.
And if that was to happen, Buckley will have lost 4 grand finals.
He's just not built to win. Buckley's the new Ross Lyon.
I want Buckley to win one as coach because he's completely changed the perception of him around, specifically last year, with the grand final loss and everything as well.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like since he had been doing the segment on AFL 360 and how well spoken and stuff he was as well, and how much shit he gave Robbo throughout the course of the times.
People love that.
He's become much more endearing than he was as a player, where he was just this arrogant, pompous prick sort of thing.
I think it's like on his whiteboard.
However, I
kind
of want, much like Freo, to, like, don't get me wrong, Freo winning their first premiership would be an absolutely glorious moment. But in saying that, I kind of want them to never win because the meme will be forever. And why would you want that destroyed?
I'm a Freo fan and I understand that.
I want that to be the same thing as Buckley, but on the same side, I kind of want him to get one as well, but I kind of want to laugh that he's never had one. It's just a really weird relationship.
I do like you bring up the Robbo thing. I think it's on the whiteboard in like his club or something like that, like in his office, where it's like he's just about to check out. I've got this image in my head where he's just about to check out. Head over to 360 Studios, film his segment, and he's just got written on the whiteboard, take piss out of Robbo, PR. It's like, get everyone to like you, just take the piss out of Robbo. But yeah, no, I'm torn on it. I'd go in completely neutral.
I would back in Collingwood, but I think Richmond would get up.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that might be us.
I think that is, yeah.
We're just about on time.
It's actually the most on-time episode all year we've had.
Since episode 1, where we only went 8 minutes over time.
Because we've only got the 2 games to run through, so that's what normally takes up all of our time.
Yeah.
And then next week, we'll probably be smack bang on time because we've only got the 1 game to go through.
We'll aim for it anyway.
Although in saying that, we've got the Brownlow to talk about next week.
Yeah, that's
probably
true.
more trade stuff, so... Yeah. That's going to be interesting. Guys, don't forget that next week we come out with the first of the finals reviews. So we've got
film tonight.
We've got Joel is coming out with Hawthorn on Monday night review. Yeah. Justin here has got Essendon, who he's just recorded that review. So that'll be coming out on Tuesday. And then I have a look at the Bulldogs who no one's a fan of, so that video is just gonna suck. So we get a first look at the reviews for the finalists of 2019. Then we've got the grand final preview, Footy Rivals show. Joel will be joining us through Discord for that show. So if you want to get his hot take and our hot takes on the grand final preview, that is where to get us next week on Footy Rivals right here. I will be doing, yes, Cat Attack, I will be doing a Brownlow watch party, but it'll just be me on Monday night. And then we have the watch party for the grand final itself on Saturday. And we are currently actually talking about doing the grand final review as a final
Fresh thoughts,
Footy Rivals show on Sunday. So next week is there is only one day that we don't have content coming out, and that is the Friday. So we've got
everyone gets a breather there while they
we have stuff
check
coming
out
out to you
photos of the
guys
parade.
every single day almost. I might even do a video on Friday just quickly reviewing the Brownlow or something like that. So yeah, we it's a big week.
It's going to be awesome.
It's a big week next week.
Yeah, grand final week's always great. All right. Well, I think that's us. If you guys, did like the video, please leave a big thumbs up and subscribe to AFL Access to catch all the content that Ryan's just run you through. And for now, I think that's it. Thanks for watching.
It is, yeah. Thank you very much.
Access.
You have a good weekend. Bye.